So moving on to our next topic, we're going to unpack this Western Conference because I understand, and I'm sure we all understand, that the Western Conference is probably the most loaded and really chaotic it's been in a long time. I feel like we say this almost every year, but I feel like now more than ever it is as chaotic as it's ever been. So we're going to go over our contenders and our pretenders. Of course, Riv, we're going to start with you. Who are your contenders and who are your pretenders?
When we mean contenders, because I have to be very clear and understanding at this table. When we mean contenders, do we mean contenders to make the WCF, or are we just saying the finals?
Contenders, man. Finals.
Championship.
All right, so if we're talking championship, I look at 4 to 5 teams.
Riv, the only reason I'm upset now is because you dog Joel every single time he says some shit like this.
It's 7.
Okay, I mean, you're saying 4 to 5 teams. Is that really any better?
I'll say 4.
Okay.
Well, you know what?
Who is it?
Because the deadline changed a lot, to be fair.
That's a fact.
So you know what? I'll say 3 right now, and I'll keep 2 out. Oh, no, fuck it. I'm going to say 4 to 5. I'm not going to let you sway me. I think Denver is a comfortable contender. I think what John said, they have the defensive guys for it. Offensively, they have one of the best offensive systems in the league. Half-court offense is crazy. The Jamal Murray-Joker connection is real. Aaron Gordon has improved this year. They got guys like KCP, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon that are really, really good role players. I think they're built pretty comfortably to come out the West. I think when you look at the Joker's weaknesses and the fact that he struggles in pick and rolls, especially against quicker guards, that can be changed because I think Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, KCB, those type of defenders who are able to fight over screens are going to help in aid Joker. And he's been better on defense. You know, he's not the greatest defender. He will never be the greatest defender, but he's been better defensively. I look at Phoenix, and I think with the new acquisition of Kevin Durant, and they just picked up Terrence Ross. Cool move. I think you have to consider them as a contender, you know. I think with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre, and they added T.J. Warren. They have Terrence Ross. I think they need to get maybe one more move at the buyout market. Mm-hmm. But this, you have to look at the team as a contender. I think with Devin Booker, they were a number 2 seed. Mm-hmm. Devin Booker goes down. Now that Devin Booker's been back, they've been winning games. They're back to the 4th seed. Max. Kevin Durant will be back soon. That's somebody that's a prolific scorer you're adding to the lineup that's been elite defensively this year. I think you have to look at Phoenix. You have to think they're a contender. I think Dallas you can consider as a contender. I think what Luka can do by himself is make you a dangerous playoff team, a team that can get to the WCF. With Kyrie Irving now, who's initiated into that second role, who's always thrived at that second role. And I look at Luka and Kyrie's dynamic. Luka's more of a back-to-the-basket player. He likes to post up, as where Kyrie likes to free roam. I like the defense that they've been playing as of late. They do still have spacing. I do want them to get another wing and a backup, but for right now, I think you can consider Dallas as a contender. I look at the Clippers and the Warriors. They're kind of in the middle tier for me because I think the Warriors can be contenders, and I think the Clippers they also can be contenders. They just have to fix a lot of things with the Clippers. For me, they have to fix their clutch time scoring. But with Kawhi getting back to form, Paul George going back to that second role, you think you'll find it more comfortable. They made some good moves at the deadline, getting Plumlee as a backup, getting Eric Gordon, getting Bones. I still think they need a point guard. But you look at the Clippers, this is a team that can do it. With the Warriors, it's just about those them road wolves. If they can figure those out, then this is still a dangerous team that can literally beat any team in the West. That's my contenders, though.
Interesting. Very interesting. No Grizzlies.
No, I think they're like in tier 2. They're not contenders. They can make the WCF. I don't think they can make the
finals. Just curious because, listen, I was a part of that screaming match with Joel prior to the Suns getting KD.
That was pretty good. It was.
So I understand.
WCF, though, they have to get past one of those contenders.
I think they can beat
They're still one of the best defensive team in the league.
I think they could beat the Clippers.
Probably the weakest out of the contenders.
All right, John, what do you think?
Have you guys ever heard the term dangerously looming?
Dangerous looming?
Dangerously looming.
Okay.
This guy is about to go in the saloon.
Yes.
Talking about some dangerously looming.
Are you talking about the Kings?
We're talking about the criteria here, so I'm just asking if you heard the term. Cool. Okay, so my 3 contenders, 3 in the Western Conference. Denver Nuggets, number 1. Phoenix Suns, number 2. Dallas Mavericks, number 3. Number 4, I have the Golden State Warriors, who are dangerously looming. Kind of like your Lakers in 2021.
So fucked up.
It's true, right? Steph Curry, Draymond Green, great duo, But you worry, when Gary Payton comes back, can he bring the type of spark, the point of attack defense he did last year? Because so far in Portland this year, it hasn't been there. Then you look at the wins you've lacked. I just think the Warriors to me would be number 4. You can't count them out. Okay, if things do click, I think they can beat anybody in the conference. But it's probably more likely than not. I could see the Warriors more likely getting knocked down in the first round than actually making it to the NBA Finals this year.
Depends on seeding.
Yeah,
And it does entirely. I mean, if the Warriors get the Grizzlies in round 1, it could be wraps for Memphis. 2-7 matchup, I don't care.
Okay.
So my third tier, after contenders and dangerously looming, is frisky. They're frisky.
Oh my God, these adjectives.
They're frisky. We like them.
You sound like
cool.
a slut right now.
So the first team for me that's frisky is the Clippers. Kawhi's getting back to that level, and I love it. Let's see in the playoffs.
You didn't put Clippers in dangerously looming? Oh,
No.
okay.
Nope. I like to see him actually do it. I'm tired of theory stuff. I want to see the actuality of this team. You've brought a lot of pieces off the bench. Plum Dog, he'll get battered by Jokic in the post. Owen Highland, he ain't playing the playoffs. You look at the bench.
No way you gave Mason Plumlee a nickname.
That's his nickname, bro. Eric Gordon, I don't trust him. Norman Powell's good. I do worry about the
been eating
playmaking.
recently.
Terrence Mann at point guard, is that enough playmaking? I don't know. And when Kawhi gets his knee banged up and he misses 2 games and the entire loads in Paul George, I just think they're the 5th or 6th best team in the Western Conference. After the Clippers, Grizzlies, they were a loser at the deadline. You had to make a move. I've said it before, they remind me a lot like those grit and grind teams that were not good enough in the KD Golden State Warriors era. And then the last team is the Pelicans. They just can't stay healthy, man. I feel terrible for them. It sucks. And then at the playoff tier, play-in-ish, Canes, Wolves, Lakers, OKC.
All right, so yeah, we don't have to talk about those irrelevant teams.
No.
How about you show some damn respect, Viv? You're really pissing me off right now.
John went ahead and did just not.
No,
John did the whole list.
No, what I mean by that is John made a beautiful, exquisite list.
All right, I'm just
But
making
what
sure.
I'm saying is like teams like the Kings, credit to the
story.
Kings. Great story. They did their things. They're not winning a first round match.
Well, that's why we're doing contenders and pretenders.
They
You
they
can-
face up against a
Joel,
banged up Pelicans.
I'm interested to
I just
hear
have
who
to
you
take
have
it
as your
out.
contenders
Oh, yeah.
because let me just stay quiet and,
the
and
list,
listen to what you
the
have.
list I had a couple weeks ago is still the same list I have today. John, I think you did a beautiful job, but I'm just going to be straight to it. I have 3 contenders, and I will still steal Riv's borderline, or maybe your frisky, dangerously
It's
looming. I did
dangerously
like
looming.
that. I like dangerously looming. But my 3 contenders, number 1, the Denver Nuggets. You guys talked about it. They've been arguably the best team in basketball, definitely the best teams in the West and most consistent offensively. They've been the number 1 offense in basketball basically the entire season. Jokic going for his 3rd MVP. And as we mentioned previously, Jamal Murray, when he has been healthy, has been the nice Robin to Jokic. And you do hope in the playoffs he's able to repeat some of his past playoff success, although some of it has come in the bubble, as I'm sure Riv was about to interrupt me to say. I do worry a bit in the playoffs, Jokic getting exposed on the defensive side of the ball. That is really my only worry with this team. I understand the perimeter defenders they do have with Bruce Browns and Aaron Gordon. I get it. But we have seen Jokic be exposed in the pick and roll in the playoffs. And once teams have a 7-game series, things are a lot different than just regular season. We just got to get through these games, get through the season, stay healthy, and get to the playoffs. My number 2 team, the Phoenix Suns. Getting KD changes everything. Before the KD trade, probably a first-round exit team. Maybe if some things go their way, maybe they could get past the first round. But with Kevin Durant, I mean, you're adding a top 5 player in the world, offensively phenomenal, and defensively this year, he's gone back to, honestly, one of the best defensive seasons he has had, not just being like
Ever,
a rim
no
protector,
doubt.
but just one-on-one on the perimeter as well has been fantastic. The third team, I still have the Warriors as contenders. I know some of you, Riv, put them in looming or whatever, or on the borderline. I don't know, man. I do think this Warriors team,
We give you PTSD.
this starting 5, when it's been healthy, is the best starting 5 in basketball. Net rating is like plus 22 when they play together. With Clay, Wiggins, Curry, Draymond, Looney, that starting 5 is still the best 5 in basketball. They just haven't been on the court together. A lot of that has to do with Steph Curry and the fact that the number 1 reason they would be a contender is Steph Curry. The fact that he has been hurt is obviously a big question mark going into this final stretch of the season and going into the playoffs. Of course, you assume he's 100% healthy going in. That's the reason I have them at this contender mark. But it is a little bit worrisome that he is obviously the spark to this team. And if he goes down or continues to go down and isn't able to stay healthy, I don't look at this team as contenders, obviously. And then the last team I will say that I think it might be in that mark. I was out on them a couple months ago. The Clippers are getting healthy. They're getting some depth at the deadline. I don't want to buy in just yet and say they're contenders. They're right there with the rest of these guys. But if they do somehow stay healthy, like we say every single year, they have to be in this conversation. They have 2 of the best 2-way players in the league. They have the depth. They have big men in Zubac and Plum Dog. Plum Dog, another playmaker in Bones Highland. So I like the moves they made at the deadline, and they have to be in the conversation. I just trust these 3 other teams and their players more.
I'm glad you didn't have the Dallas Mavericks. I'm glad, because when we talk about our pretenders, the Mavericks have to get brought up. I'm stunned.
What?
Stunned.
Pretenders?
I'm stunned.
Huh?
If you're not a contender, what are you?
You could be dangerously looming.
Because I don't have I don't
Enough of
think
this.
Dallas
We're
is
sugarcoating.
contenders, but
They're in the mid then. They're like tier 2.
if you're not a contender, what are you?
Or their defense is
I wouldn't
not.
say a pretender is like a team that's been gassed. Pretty much what the Suns were. They won 64 games. They propped us up as if they're going to do something, and then they lost in the second round.
They weren't pretenders.
That's pretending.
They were the second best team in the West last year, I think.
And then they lost in the second round to the 5th best team in the West? That's pretending.
That was a pretty bad matchup for them.
That's my fault.
No, the Suns last year definitely were
If
pretenders.
you're the second best team in the league in the West.
So the Kings, is that what you're saying? Like, they're the
Well,
third
no, 'cause
best
we don't
team
have
in
any
the
we don't
West.
have any expectations for them.
Okay.
So they wouldn't be considered like if the Warriors, you would think the Warriors are top dogs. So if the Warriors go out and lose in the first round, you would consider them pretenders. Because
pretty simple. If you
expectations.
disappoint and you have high expectations, you're a pretender.
But what if it's the worst possible matchup?
But if you're the second best
Luka
team in the
was.
league,
That's
that's
a fact.
matchup.
Worst possible
matchup
matchup
shouldn't-
it shouldn't matter when you're
matter.
supposed to be the best of the best.
Doesn't matchups matter more than seeding?
Matchups matter, but when you're the second best team in the West, no matchup should be that bad.
Oh, they were the best.
Who? The Suns?
Suns, yeah, they're the best.
I'm talking about last year. Just about last year.
Yep.
Like no matchup should be that bad to where you get outcoached and outplayed on your home court
In a game set, like, it's embarrassing.
And it was embarrassing.
It was.
So they were pretenders.
Oh, we watched it here. Yeah, believe me,
No, we
all saw it
We were
together.
pissed off.
You weren't here. You weren't here.
No, he was here for that
was here.
game conveniently. Got to watch
Facts. I forgot.
you got to watch the moment of Chris
Watched-
Paul
yeah.
kind of 43. That was a pretty big shot.
Yeah,
too.
you watched the dog shit game. So my contenders, I'm not going to go too crazy. I want to talk more so about the pretenders, honestly. But my contenders, I have them in the A tier and the B tier. Now, I only gave you shit before because you are very vocal about when Joel said that he has a laundry list of contenders, you were upset. Now, I agree with Joel. There's a lot of good teams. There's a lot of good
But
teams.
to be fair, he's putting the Suns pre-KD in there.
That was no.
And he
Listen,
put
I
the
agree with you.
teams- Like the teams were different.
I agree with you, but at the same time, now you're. I don't want to say backtracking, but it's the only word that I have in my head right now on the Grizzlies. So my A tier, I have the Suns and I have the Nuggets. I have the Suns for the fact that their offense has been the issue so far this season. Right now, they rank 18th in offensive rating. Now you add Kevin Durant, arguably the best offensive player in the game. Obviously, health is a concern, but when he's on the court, it's undeniable how amazing he is as a basketball player. What are you laughing at, John?
Dehls.
What did you do?
They said Drew and Dehls are some Luka haters, and I said, does Luka have a Larry Bird trophy? I didn't think so. Got his ass.
That's a baller statement right there. But their defense has been pretty solid. 9th, of course, but that's for the fact that Mikal was on this team, and Mikal is one of the better defenders, and you're losing that. But again, as Joel already mentioned, KD is a great defender in his own right, a great rim protector. He's been solid on ball. KD has been fantastic this year. The only concern would be injury, but if he's on the court, it's undeniable. The Suns have to be contenders. Now for the Nuggets. They have the number 1 offense in the league right now. Their defense is better than it is last year for the fact that you guys already mentioned it. Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon. The X factors for me, though, has to be Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. It has to be both. Because if you have both of these guys, plus Jokic, of course, who's arguably the best player in the world, I don't have him there, but he's arguably that. He's going to be potentially 3-time MVP. You got to give him that respect. It's got to be on Jamal. It's got to be on MPJ because Jokic has missed these two guys desperately. And Jamal Murray, when he's in the playoffs, simply goes to another gear, and we've seen it where Bubble Murray put on some amazing performances, and it's unfortunate that we've been robbed of that since. Jamal Murray can kick it to that next gear. Michael Porter Jr. has shown that he can offensively do a lot for a team, specifically next to Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. He is that perfect piece to that perfect final piece to that trio. The only concern would be defense. Is someone going to expose Jokic's defense? That would be a concern for me. I personally still need to see a game from the Suns, but I'm leaning as the Suns being my favorite to come out of the West. Solely for the fact that you have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant next to one another with the floor general of Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, who has been playing very firm basketball. These 4 together on the court together is going to be scary. Now for my beats here. I do have the Grizzlies. I understand that offensively they're not with these other teams, but defensively, you can't ignore it. Number 2 right now in terms of defensive rating, Ja Morant. People did not like the fact that he was getting put into the conversation with Devin Booker. But this season, Ja Morant has been one of the league's best players this season. It's that simple. Offensively, it's inignorable. He is one of the most dominant scorers. He gets to the basket at will. He does what he needs to do. He is one of the most athletic guards in the league as well. Ja Morant is a star. He is a superstar in the making if you already don't have him as one already. But what they do lack is shooting, and that's understandable. I don't know how they're going to... Is Luke Kennard going to get minutes? I feel like that's a Riv question. They do need three-point shooting desperately. As I spit all over Joel's mic, I apologize. Oof. They do need three-point shooting desperately, and their free throw shooting is not that good either. But when Ja Morant is your star, and you have Desmond Bane, who is also a great great second piece to the duo. Offensively, I don't know what I'm trying to say in that regards, but we spoke about it last show. His co-star is Jaren Jackson because defensively, he is one of the best in the league. But offensively, it's Desmond Bane. Mm-hmm. Jaren Jackson worries me offensively because when they get into their offensive set, sometimes Jaren Jackson kind of just gets lost out there, and he's just not moving around, not looking to be aggressive at all.
A little dilapidated.
Say that one more time.
A little off, a little dilapidated.
Okay.
High center of gravity, clumsy drives.
It's
what we're talking about?
No, we're talking about Jaren Jackson.
Oh.
It's like he's just not
fouls a lot.
He definitely.
He's great at
that's
that.
definitely.
But that's a skill.
But I feel like in part you take the fouls for the fact that he is as amazing as he is defensively. You just don't want him fouling out of games, and that's the issue.
A lot,
that's
honestly.
the issue. Like Jaren, I'm sorry to cut you off.
All good.
He's the best rim protector by far this season, but he's playing 26 minutes a game.
Yeah, he almost fouled out in the third quarter of the Celtics game over the weekend.
I remember we had this chat on the show earlier about how he plays this game with himself that if he gets 3 fouls, he fouls out in his own mind. So he might foul out every single game in his own eyes, and that's the truth. But you simply can't deny defensively he is one of the best in the game right now. Offense is a concern, which is why they are in my B tier, but Ja Morant, come playoff time, kicks it up to another gear as well. Ja Morant is a star. I don't care what anyone says to me. I have Devin Booker over him, but Ja Morant still deserves to be in that conversation. Now, I also have the Clippers, and I have them in my B tier, and they're fringe A tier, but the only reason they're in my B tier is because you can't trust them. You can't trust Kawhi to stay healthy. You can't trust Paul George to stay healthy, and these two guys are the reason why the Clippers are contenders in the first place. They're probably the deepest team in the NBA, but Kawhi Leonard, when he's on the court, his talent is up there with the best. But the issue becomes, can you trust and rely on him? You simply can't. He's averaging 27 points in 2023. Kawhi Leonard has simply been back to the Kawhi Leonard that we know.
Stupid efficiency.
He has been unbelievable and one of the main reasons why the Clippers are among the top teams in the Western Conference. But come playoff time, the only concern becomes, is he going to be available? Is that wrong, Riv, or no?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. You're giving me a look that I didn't appreciate.
No,
He's the Clippers guy.
No, I was with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's sweet. That's sweet.
I was 100% with you. You had him in your B tier?
I did.
I can see that. Like, the Clippers are weird. Like you guys are talking about the health problems, which are issues. I think on-court problems are serious. I think them not having a legit system is serious. I think them being too ISO-heavy is serious. Them not having a big that can guard any elite big in the league or even give them fits is serious. I think them in the clutch is a serious issue. They're not good in the clutch. I think the issues are deeper than health because even if they are healthy, all that shit is still,
That's
you know what I'm saying, is still there. So I think the Clippers have a little bit more because, like, Paul George is playing the 1 right now.
I meant to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
It's been fine, but it's weird. Paul George is not a traditional 1.
Facts.
And you put a guard on him, they speed up the offense. He's not a traditional playmaker. You know, he's a good passer. He's a good secondary playmaker. But you want a point guard that understands pace. You want a point guard that understands poise, understand where all his players need to be at to get in their spots. Paul George is not a point guard, so he doesn't understand all those schemes or all those sets in an offense. So you have you have pretty much 4 wings out there in a big who most of those wings are shoot first. It's a little difficult. You know, it's been a weird transition. I mean, defensively they've been great. But offensively, they take times to run into they take times to get into their sets. They take times to honestly get up the court, and it kind of puts them in last minute heaves where they have 7 seconds left. They just go into ISO ball, and then they just go put up a shot. So Paul George and Terrence Mann as a backcourt. Defensively, it's been fine, but offensively, because you know Paul George has been one of the best defenders in the league this year. He's been elite on that end. Kawhi has been elite in 2023, so you love to see that. But offensively, you know, especially when you're going in the West, you have Jamal Murray, you have Steph Curry, you know, you have these guards, Ja Morant, who can literally break down the defense. You're going to need a point guard eventually down the road. That's always been important.
It's not going to be Terrence Mann.
He don't even play point guard now. He just
okay.
subs in.
Yeah.
He just guards the guard.
Yeah.
PG is their one.
So we already talked about how they're probably the deepest team in the league. Right now, they're leading the highest scoring bench unit in the game, and that's led by Norman Powell. You talked about it a little bit, John. Norman Powell's been fantastic, averaging 17 points per game, 41% from three, first in terms of points per game off the bench, third in points off the bench, fifth in threes off the bench. Norman Powell has been fantastic, and this bench unit as a whole is one of the main reasons why I do have them as a contender. My only concern is health.